Welcome back, viewers. You are still tuned in to Prime Live. You may remember the really amazing and famous Zulaikha Patel as a young, powerful teenager standing up for the rights of girls of color in prestigious former white schools in South Africa. This week, she has become the first South African to be personally selected for a prestigious week-long intensive program in Geneva, Switzerland. It also entailed online coursework from June to November, focusing on cultivating leadership, advocacy, as well as innovative thinking skills. Zulaikha Patel joins me now to share with us her successes in this program, as well as the exciting initiative that has just taken off. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for joining us on Prime Live.
Walaikum salam. Thank you for having me.
Zulaikha, it's such an honor to have this conversation with you. I'm such an admirer of the incredible work that you have done from such a tender age, and I'm very proud that you have done so well since your days in Pretoria High School for Girls. Uniform fist raised with that beautiful afro you have. Today you have made such a profound impact as a vocal anti-racism activist and accomplished author, as well as a passionate advocate for education equality. MashaAllah, it's so lovely to see. Can you please tell us more about the Kofi Annan Changemakers Initiative 2024 and how you were selected?
The Kofi Annan Foundation has a program called the Kofi Annan Changemakers, which was founded in 2020 with former Ambassador Stalin, who is the donor of the program. And basically what they do is they select young global change makers from different parts in the world, and they annually select 14 for the cohort, and you are awarded a seed grant to go towards your efforts, your change making efforts, and you then participate in a years-long program with modules around diplomacy, change making, which give you the empowering tools you need to further your advocacy, activism, and change making work. You're paired with a mentor from the Grey Cells organization, which is an organization of former retired international public servants that served as diplomats, served as UN employees that were deployed to different countries. You're paired with a mentor, and they assist you in establishing a flagship program using the seed grant that they award you. And you're awarded the title of being a Kofi Annan Changemaker, which entails the responsibility of upholding the legacy of Kofi Annan.
That sounds absolutely incredible, and what an honor for you to be the very first South African to be elected to be part of this incredible program. We are so proud. I'm so keen to learn more about the level of mentorship, working with experts and leaders that you were exposed to. Are you able to share with us what stood out for you the most so far?
I was paired with a lovely lady that retired from UN refugees, and one of the most memorable parts of her extensive career was when she was deployed to Zimbabwe during the repatriation and during the early years of former President Robert Mugabe. And we spoke a lot about decolonization, and I was able to get so much insight from her around human rights law. As a law student myself, an aspiring human rights legal practitioner, I was able to learn from her, and I was able to also engage her on Africa, especially our SADC nations and our post-colonial and democratic periods, and really assessing the breakdown that we've seen in some countries such as South Africa and Zimbabwe, and the regression that we've seen in those countries. I was able to engage her around how does the current generation of young people fight against that in order to better conditions for the current generation and future generations to come, which I found to be very valuable. And I was able to engage her around very important life skills around work-life balance, being committed to a cause, but being able to also prioritize your well-being and your health in circumstances where you really need to prioritize yourself before the cause that you're committed to.
Thank you for sharing that. I mean, what a grand opportunity to be able to sit amongst the caliber of people that you are exposed to and, being able to learn such invaluable skills from someone like that. Thank you for sharing that with us. The initiative also was able to provide seed funding for your ECD, rather your early childhood development library. Do you have plans of expanding this to other parts of the country as well?
Yes. So basically, my organization, Dare to Change, has established 5 libraries across the country, starting with 4 in Pretoria in Lotus Gardens, which is a township in Pretoria West. And then we launched the 5th one in September in Mahokong, which is a village in the Northern Cape. And those were all done in primary schools, given the staggeringly high statistics we have of childhood illiteracy, where 81% of grade 4 learners can't read to comprehend or read to remember. So, in order to address the challenge of childhood illiteracy, I decided to start a flagship program to have early childhood development center library corners established, which would provide reading material catered to toddlers and the learners that are in the early childhood development centers, because I believe we have a development gap in South Africa from around the world, because we don't have our ECD education formalized, and we're not giving children the early reading skills at an ECD level. And that sets us behind in comparison to the rest of the world that has formalized kindergarten and ECD education, and kids are starting to read from a tender age of 3 and 4. So I decided, in order to address the problem of childhood illiteracy at the core, I would use the Kofi Annan seed grant to flagship a program where I'd establish a ECD center library corner with materials specially catered to that age group, and then run a reading program for 6 months and see how it goes. And then possibly, should we receive support from the public in terms of donations and funding, then extend this into other parts of the country that are in need.
That is such a powerful project. I mean, it's so powerful in the sense that, literacy is something that is a huge issue in South Africa. And I love that as a young person, you're not just talking about it, you're actually making change. And we love to see, the incredible things that you are doing in South Africa. And we would love to see, the continuation and the growth of the project as well. Now, talking about education in South Africa, we're still very much seeing evidence of a very wide gap between those who have access to the best education and schools and that are still using the bucket system. How can others get involved in terms of pushing for equality in education in South Africa? What would your message be?
Thank you so much for that powerful question. I believe we all have a role that we play towards creating an impact and a long-lasting impact in ensuring that everyone has equal access to the best education. And to break it down, the role that we all should be playing starts from home. In the home, parents can play a role in terms of having conversations that spark impactful change in communities and spark a child's mind to want to participate in making a small difference in their community that they live in, based on how they're raised, based on the material that they consume at home, based on the conversations at home, based on if they continue to learn at home, in the home space outside of school, and ensuring that parents start from an early age with simple things as reading skills, simple things such as ensuring that your child is reading material that they see themselves in that material. So access to material that's representative of their identity. And then secondly, young people participating in associations or nonprofits that provide tutoring to disenfranchised schools. Participating in that goes a long way for young people that want to make an impact in with a small action. Participating in nonprofits that provide tutoring to learners in disenfranchised schools goes a long way. And then also we need people that have the means to make public donations to organizations which are nonprofits that do the work to ensure that everybody is able to have equal access to a good quality education, such as organizations that focus on eradicating pit toilets, focus on childhood illiteracy, focus on providing important things such as uniforms, school shoes. Donating to those organizations goes a long way. And people that are in positions of power and are able to make a larger move, such as corporates and people in the private sector, I believe play a very huge role in ensuring that they're able to make decisions to invest more in education, because education is our first form of socialization as humans. And also, education is one of the most fundamental things in our development. So we need to ensure that every child in South Africa has access to a quality education. So companies and the private sector would play a huge role in ensuring that they're able to make an investment into education.
No, that was very beautifully said. I think in what you said, you shared so much of solution in terms of what the community or what we as everyday South Africans can do to play our part in ensuring equal education. Whether you're a student and you have some free time helping at schools that might need assistance, or if you're professional, helping tutor at schools that need the assistance and extra help. I think there's so much that we can do as everyday South Africans to play our part in terms of ensuring that everyone has equal access to education. And like you said, I love the call to action you've just said now, talking to the private sector, talking to companies and businesses that are in places of power and do have the funding, the financial backing to be able to support programs and incredible organizations that do exist in our country that do make a difference in schools all across the country. But in parting, I know that it is your dream to develop a decolonized, racist free, as well as a feminist course for universities. Why is this so important to you?
It's important for me, and I'd just like to make a point of correction. It would be a course that's actually for high schools, and I believe it's important because we would be conscientizing young people that are in high school, and also it creates social awareness that's able to equip them for creating a more just world. And the feminist aspect of it would not just only be focused on girl empowerment, but it would be focused on ensuring that we can create an cohesive environment for both boys and girls, a cohesive non-violent environment. And so this course would be particularly important because it would empower young people with the tools they need to form part of a just, equitable world, and a world where they can live in cohesion with each other non-violently.
Absolutely. That was very beautifully said. I couldn't agree more. I think, looking back at my journey in high school, I would have loved to have access to those kind of materials in coursework. I think it would have helped me as a young girl so much. And, in closing, you have inspired so many young girls in South Africa and they look up to you now for inspiration and for motivation. And I know you've shared with us a call to action for private sector and for everyone to play their part in terms of making education more accessible to everyone in South Africa. But what would your message be to young girls who are watching you tonight?
My message to young girls who are watching tonight would be to never be afraid and to always, in any room that they find themselves in, to always speak up. If you have an idea, speak up. If you wish to change the world around you or the community around you, speak up. And whatever it may be on your mind, speak up and never be afraid.
Thank you for sharing that. Zulaikha, thank you so much for sharing with us this evening. Congratulations once again. I mean, we are so proud as South Africans. This is such a huge moment for you and a huge moment for South Africa. And, congratulations on all your successes. And we look forward to seeing what you will continue to do in the future.
Thank you so much for having me.
Viewers at home, that was Zulaikha Patel talking to us about the incredible program that she will be joining very, very soon, the Kofi Annan program, that is the Changemakers Program, which is absolutely incredible. She is the first South African to be elected to be part of this program that will be taking place in Switzerland. It is such a proud moment for South Africans to see young and dynamic individuals such as Zulaikha represent us on an international platform and make changes across the country, whether that be through her anti-racism initiatives and programs, and whether that also be through her incredible project to make literacy something that is free for all, something that is accessible to all, and making sure that education is equal in South Africa. I love that she shared a huge call to action to all of us who are watching tonight, even the businesses, the corporates, those with financial power. We all have a part to play in terms of making South Africa better and making access to education more and more equal. But on that note, it is time for us to head over to an ad break, and we'll come right back.